up, everybody? This is another business development guru show from RTS for government contracting. If you want to find out more about government contracting, want to contact me to get into government contracting, you can visit me at yesrts.com. So at the end of this show, my goal is to have all of y'all dancing like this guy from the information that I was able to disseminate to y'all. Unc is happy, and I want you guys as happy as that. So what we're going to go over today, we're going to go over something very important that I talk to my clients about once they get all their certifications for government contracting, and that's called a capability statement. When we say capability statement in the government contracting arena, we're talking about a statement that contracting officers are going to read so they can understand what your capabilities are. Pretty self-explanatory, right? The reason that capability statements are important is if you are a small business and you fall under what's called a socioeconomic classification, like woman-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, Indian-owned small business, regular small business, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, then by law, Small Business Administration has been given money from the larger government spending budget to set aside just for those socioeconomic businesses. Right now, the government does like 10 trillion a year on contracting. And out of that 10 trillion that's done every year for contracting, 5% of that is set aside. So I'm not a methodologist, but I think 5% of 10 trillion is what, 500 billion? And out of that 500 billion that's set aside for small businesses, only about 23 to 27% of that is actually used every year. Let me fall back. Less than 23 to 27% of that is used. It's actually about 27 billion out of 500 billion. Around 27 billion is used all year on the set aside program. So imagine this: the United States government, world's largest purchaser, that spends 10 trillion annually on purchasing products and services, has said, okay, we're going to set aside this 500 billion just for small businesses. And out of that 500 billion that they set aside, only about 27 billion is actually getting handed out to the small businesses it's intended for. So the problem is there's all this money on the table that the government has to give to you, small business, to purchase your product or service, but they don't know how to give it to you. They don't know how to reach you. We're not going to go over the fact that you don't know how to get it from them. We're talking about they are a captive purchaser, the captive audience, and they got to give this money to you. So normally let me make sure I set up my do not disturb so this stream doesn't get disturbed. So to make sure that my clients are in a good position to sell their products and services to the United States government, after they get all their certifications and they're cleared hot to sell to the United States government, I usually explain to them there's 3 different arenas of purchasing, or 3 different jurisdictions. There's international contracts, there's federal contracts, and then there's state contracts. And when I say state, I mean everything from your governor's building down to your local municipality, your library, your school district. All that counts under state. Rules are different in each jurisdiction. Today, we're going to talk about federal jurisdiction, and then we're going to briefly talk about state contracting. And the larger theme for today's session is a capability statement. So imagine this: you went through the rigmarole of getting an EIN, registering with your state, then going through sam.gov so that you can become a small business vendor, then getting specialty contracts or specialty certifications with certifications SBA to be a woman owned or service disabled or Indian or veteran or whatever have you. Then you went through your state. So you could get, if you're in California, your state small business vendor certificate, your disabled veteran business certificate. And each state has some type of reciprocal certificate or program that matches the federal socioeconomic statements. Blue states always have additional, like I know New York has LGBTQ. They have a bunch of other specialty certifying programs that incentivize socioeconomic businesses to sell more to their state. But no matter what state you're in, there's going to be some similar type of purchasing program that that state has, because if the state is going to use federal dollars, the state has to have some type of small business administration purchasing program. Now, that's state. Federal, it's 100% set aside. If you're a woman and the Small Business Administration sets aside a contract specifically for women-owned small business, 100% only women can be the prime contractor for that contract. Let's say the VA wants to hire janitors for a Veterans Integrated Service Network of 10 hospitals, and they say the money we've set aside for this can only be given to a veteran company that is ran by a service disabled veteran. Now, that's what the government does all day. The money that's appropriated for the SBA to give to a special socioeconomic program to purchase services and products, it usually comes with, you know, terms and conditions. But before you even get to that money, you guys have to understand that you already have a captive purchaser. They have to give you money. And their problem is they can't give you the money because they don't know you. So, how do they get to know you? The trick is you fill out a capability statement. In the world of capability statements, I hear this all the time. Oh, I did a capability statement. I did a capability statement. But we need to scale back and talk about what a capability statement really is and the different types of capability statements. There are capability statements that are one pagers that will have all your important government codes on the statement, as well as a brief description of your company, your past performances, and your contact information. Think of it like a brochure or like a promotional flyer that you're going to give either a federal contractor or you're going to give a state contractor. Those are important, and we're going to cover that today in this show. But first and foremost, if we're talking federal jurisdiction, the most important capability statement is actually going to dynamic small business search and entering your information, create an account and enter your information in dynamic small business search. So this video that I'm playing right here, just do a Google search for SBA DSBS, that stands for Dynamic Small Business Search. And I'm going to enter in my company name in here so you can see what we mean by capability statement first and foremost, because like I said, there's different types. So here's my company, RTS. Let me pause the video real quick. Let me go back a little bit. Okay. So as you see here, that's my company, RTS. There's my capability narrative. Lots of times in the federal jurisdiction, we mix up capability narrative and capability statement. Capability statement, again, is a one-page flyer that you pass out to the government contracting officer that you want to market to. But before you get to that, in the federal arena, you have to fill out a capabilities narrative. And you do that by going to dynamic small business search, creating an account, and filling out your capability narrative. Mind you, this is after you get all your registrations done, because Small Business Administration is going to pull from systemawardmanagement.gov, sam.gov database to populate some of the information of your company. You need to go after you After you're done with your registration and certifications in sam.gov, you then need to go to SBA DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Search, and enter more information for your capabilities narrative. So if you look again, there's my company, Artias. There's a brief summary of the narrative, and we're going to get more in depth into the narrative. Then you see veteran-owned small business, service-able veteran-owned small business under active certifications. Ooh, I need to update my email. That's no longer my email. My email is t.tour@yesrts.com. And then you got my address and then my company address. So if I drill down, next video, if I drill down into my company, again, go to Dynamic Small Business Search, enter in my company name, ARTIUS, which is Latin for artful, skilled, and complete. And then I click on my name, make sure all my information is correct. Then I go and click on my company's name. Ooh, wrong video, wrong video, wrong video, wrong video, wrong video. Pause, let me pause that. This is this is the video I want right here. Y'all bear with me. Okay, so I'm going into Small Business Administration, SBA, Dynamic Small Business Search. I'm going to pull up my company. Oh, I think I'm tripping. Apologize, y'all. Y'all bear with me. The video I'm actually trying to show is when I drill down. There it goes. When I drill down into my company name, there we go. And then you can see more of what a capabilities narrative is. Oh, before I drill down into it, the reason the capabilities narrative is so important is we live in the age of AI. So imagine you're a government contracting officer. You've been given $1 million to run a project for janitorial services, but you have to give this $1 million to a service disabled veteran small business. What you're going to do, you're going to set a web crawler on this database, Dynamic Small Business Search, to find all of the companies that match the industry classification status for janitor, and that also match the socioeconomic classification for service disabled veteran. So let me go ahead and play. So what I did just now is I clicked on the name in Dynamic Small Business, and as you can see, there's certain things that are on here. It's my contact information, organization, and ownership of the company. And the web crawler for the web crawler that the contracting officer sets on this website is going to go through all this information to make sure that they can contact you. They're going to send you an email and they're going to say, "Hey, Schmuckatelli, hey, John Doe, we noticed that your code, your industry classification code matched this contract that we're trying to hand out to service disabled veterans. Send us a capability statement, or would you like to fill out this? Would you like to fill out a proposal for the solicitation?" And this has happened to me before. I used to sell medical gases, and one of the contracts we actually won was just by them going through here and finding our capabilities narrative. So on here again, there's information on the company, there's organization and ownership. Again, you see my certificate. So the web crawler is actively going through all this. And then they see my codes. NAICS stands for North American Industry Classification Status Codes. Every company that does business with the government, matter of fact, every industry is broken down into 6 digits. The Small Business Administration uses those 6 digits to see if your company falls under the size standard of a small business. There's 2 different type of size standards the Small Business Administration uses, and it's an either or. They're either going to judge if you're a large or small business based on how much sales you gross a year, or how many employees you have. My primary NAICS code is administrative assistant and general management consultant. So all of y'all watching, if you want to get in contracting and make money selling your products and services to the United States government, holla at me. I'm really good at what I do. Again, that's my primary NAICS code. And according to the Small Business Administration size standard, as long as I'm making under $24 million a year, I'm considered a small business. Now, if I was a logger, if I was a lumberjack, then my size standard wouldn't be judged in millions of dollars. It would be judged in, I think, 500 or 750 employees. If I have under that, I'm still considered a small business. If I have over that, I'm considered a large business. So then a little bit of trickery comes in there where you got to make sure you take advantage of automation and AI to keep your employee count as low as you can for as long as you can, so you can make as much money as you can until you're forced to grow to more employees. But that's for another discussion later on when we air another show. Pause the video. So as you can see, it reads all my codes, service information. I put in keywords because remember, this is an artificial intelligence web crawler that's crawling this database to see if they can tell that contracting officer to reach out to you and give you that contracting opportunity. So I put my keywords in my capabilities narrative. Also, past performance history, the contracts that I've done, to me, the most important contracts that I've done before. And then whether I export or not. So remember, you can only fill out this capability narrative if, and only if you go through the process of registering with systemawardmanagement.gov. And then also, if you want to have your socioeconomic certificates in there, then you have to register with certifications.sba.gov after sam.gov. And I want to tell you that process, if you're not swimming in those waters every day, it is exhausting. So reach out to me. I will help you do that. All right. So another thing that you guys see on here is that we can attach our capability statement. You look down where it says capability statement under a capabilities narrative. You can attach a capability statement onto your capabilities narrative, and that capability statement is what we're talking about when we're talking about the flyer that you're going to give the contracting officer. So now this next video I'm switching over into how to craft a capability statement for a contracting officer. We're supposed to be there already. Okay. So I use Adobe Express, and I'm actually going to craft a capability statement. I'm going to craft a federal capability statement. And I'm going to use this template to craft a state capability statement. And the reason that you need to have a federal capability statement and a state capability statement, besides the fact that the two different jurisdictions, some states do not use an NAICS code for your industry. Some states use what's called NIGP codes or UNSPSC codes. So, depending on the state that you're contracting in, you should have a specially prepared state capability statement. But today we're going to go over federal capability statement. So, one of my clients, they just signed with me, is a really good concrete company in Fort Worth, Texas, called Devil Dog Concrete. And they recently got their Texas Vet Hub certification. Texas Vet Hub certification is a great program. Last year, I think either October, November, for a month, Texas suspended their old program called a Hub Zone program. This is state contracting we're talking about right now. Hub Zone stood for historically underutilized business zone. And because of all the talk behind DEAI and all that other stuff, the administration, Governor Abbott, decided to suspend the historically underutilized business zone program, which used to be for small businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses. And they suspended that program. I don't want to get too political, but to me, it's funny they suspended that program because Um, the program was a Republican program that was started when Bush was the governor out there. Anyways, they suspended that program for about a month and they came back with what they call the Vet Hub program, the Veteran Historically Underutilized Business Program. So now in the state of Texas, if you are a company that's 20% disabled veteran or higher, and you want to do business in the state of Texas, I highly recommend you sign up for the Vet Hub program. The way that it works is, let's say I'm a construction company that's not owned by a disabled veteran, and I want to get an incentive off my bid. Let's say I'm bidding at $1 million. Well, I might get more points on my bid if I use a vet hub, a certified vet hub as a subcontractor. So me, if I'm a vet hub company, I'm looking nice because what's happening is all these companies calling me because they want to get an incentive on their bid by using me as a subcontractor. So what that does is that increases my ability to do business. So my client, Devil Dog Concrete, shout out Horatio. He is a vet hub program. It took us about 2 months to get him registered for the program. And now he can just sit back and get calls from other contractors that do construction projects that include concrete. And they can say, yo, we want to use you as a subcontractor. Then he can tell them, okay, these are my terms. He doesn't have to worry about turning a proposal. All he has to worry about is collecting his check for doing the work that he does as a subcontractor. So that's the Vet Hub program, a summarization of the Vet Hub program. For those of my listeners that are watching, if you want to know about programs, socioeconomic programs in your state that would be advantageous to you, go ahead and reach out to me, t.tor at yesorts.com, or you can hit me up on my page, Theophilus Tor on Facebook, or Artius on any of my socials, Artius. Now, even though Devil Dog Concrete is a certified Vet Hub program, they still need to market the fact that they are Vet Hub program. Remember at the beginning of this talk, I said that government purchasers are a captive purchaser. They have a metaphorical gun to their head saying, "Yo, you got to spend this money on company XYZ if they meet these requirements, or if they meet these classifications." So if we look at the state of Texas, contractors are saying, "Hey, you got to spend money for vet hub zones." Now, the money, I know I said Devil Dog Concrete can just sit back and wait for people to call them, but it doesn't really work like that. You still got to market. And the people that you're marketing to the contracting officers in the state of Texas, in the counties of Texas, in the city of Texas that use Vet Hub funds to purchase products and services. Because the government has to use this money on Vet Hub programs. Because they have to use this money on Vet Hub programs, they're looking for Vet Hub companies. Because what will happen lots of times in Texas when it comes to contracting, if you don't have a company, let's say I'm not a Vet Hub company and I'm looking to do business with the state of Texas, and I go and say, hey, I want to build this new parking lot. And Texas says, okay, you have to reach out to a Vet Hub. And I say, oh, I don't know any Vet Hubs. Texas will say, well, here's a list of Vet Hubs. You see where I'm going with this? So they're even paid to promote you to other companies so that the other companies can use you if you're in the state of Texas. Yet and still, you still have to have a way to tell the state of Texas you're a vet hub. You can't just get the certification and expect people to call you. Once you have the certification, then you reach out to your advocates that are paid by the state to be your advocate so that they can promote you to these companies that will benefit off of using your services, that will get incentives off of using you as a subcontractor. So that's state contracting. By the way, I love contract. I could talk about this all day long. I really am a paperwork nerd when it comes to this. Okay, so what we're doing right now on the screen is we are creating a capability statement, and we're going to use this statement as a template for the federal government and also for state governments. For the federal governments, Devil Dot Concrete is going to send this out He's also going to attach it to his website, and he's going to attach it to his capability narrative, what we went over in the video earlier. And then for the state of Texas, he is going to register as different city vendors, and he's going to email this capability statement to the advocates that are paid by the state of Texas to promote him to large business contractors or to companies that aren't vet hub companies. And it makes so much sense when you think about it, because you want to open up all lanes to be able to contract. This guy does concrete. He wants to market as much as possible. Oh, the Red Bull's coming back up. Sorry, y'all. All right. So I use Adobe Express, and hopefully I don't got anything too crazy looking on my photos. But I went ahead and I started up by adding his logo to the top of the page. By the way, add highlights, share this video, because right now is a great time to open up your own business and sell to the largest purchaser. All right. So I'll go ahead and add that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add at the top of the page under his logo, just gonna add a brief description of his business that I'm gonna get from his website. I tell people you want to keep things consistent. So if you're telling somebody about your company, you want to use the about information that's on your website. You want to keep that same about information. You want to keep that same about information on your socials. All across the board, you want to keep the same about information. So Devil Dot Concrete, Fort Worth, Texas. I want to copy their about information. And I'm going to do a little bit of adjusting on the text editor box. And I'm going to go ahead and put that right under his logo. And if you notice, I'm a business development company. I've been doing this since 2018. Year to date, I've won over $7 million for me and my clients combined. And one of the things that I've learned is keep things consistent, push that consistent brand. Notice I made the background of his capability statement black because his company colors is black, red, gray, and white, or black, red, silver, and a little bit of white. So that's what I'm using in my capability statement, because every time a contracting officer looks at anything that has to do with Devil Dog Concrete, I want that brand, those colors to be pushed. So again, I'm adding this about information. And after I add his about information, that's basically it. I don't want to add any extra narrative. After I'm done with that, it's time to add the important codes on this paper. So again, this is going to be eventually a PDF document that I send to contracting officers. And then I'm also going to save this as an image, because I'm going to paste it as an image inside his email for contracting officers to see. Depending on the government department you work on, you might not be able to access attachments because of a security risk. And so I want to make so many different ways for contracting officers to see his capability statement. Might even use this capability statement as an image on his website. I'm going to fast forward the video a little bit because I was fooling around with the borders on his page. I think I might have to go to the next video. Yep. So I added a divider. On one side of the divider is going to be important codes. On the other side of the divider is going to be past performance and contact information. All right, let me go to the next video. And if you're not comfortable using Adobe Express, or if you're not comfortable making marketing media for your company to the United States government, go ahead and holler at me again, because this is the kind of stuff that I love doing. Let me pause the video real quick. All right. So what we're looking at right now is we're looking at information that would go on a federal capability statement. On the left-hand side, we have 4 important codes that the contracting officer needs to see. And on the left side, I'm going to get rid of keywords. We don't need keywords. We'll put that in our capability narratives. But on the left side where you see UEI, when you register with systemawardmanagement.gov, you get what's known as a UEI, unique entity identification number. That's going to be the number that goes with you as a government vendor. That's going to be like your social security number. Last episode we talked about how to get an employer identification number. That's just so you can do business in the geographical boundaries of the United States. This UEI is going to give you the ability to sell to the United States government where the United States government is a customer of yours. So UEI. Next is a cage code. If you're selling the Department of Defense, they use something called Commercial Acquisition Government Entity Code, CAGE, cage code. Next two numbers, NAICS and PSC, very important. NAICS is North American Industry Classification Status Code. It takes your industry and it breaks it into 6 numbers. Those 6 numbers are used to describe your industry, and it's also used by Small Business Administration to figure out if you're a small business or not. And then the last number, PSC, Products and Service Code. So if you're selling lumber, if you're selling iron, if you're selling floor mats, there's a product and service code for that. And then on the right hand side, we got his past performance information. So remember, I told y'all I'm gonna remove the keywords part. All right, let's go to the next video. All right, so the next clip we have a complete capability narrative. Let me see. Let me minimize my screen. All right, so we have a complete capability narrative over here. You see, we have his logo up top. The whole capability narrative is in his company brand and colors. We have his unique entity identification number. And none of this is operational security. This is public information. And what we're looking at right now is not a federal capability statement. We're looking at a state capability statement because we do not have the cage code. We have his Texas State Vet Hub number. This number is going to be used to verify that he's actually on the Vet Hub list. Very important for anybody that wants to reach out to him to ask him if he wants to be a subcontractor. Then after that, Texas uses NAICS codes and also PSC codes. Depending on the state that you're in, NAICS and PSC might be replaced by NIGP and USPSC, but you just have to know how the state that you're contracting with, breaks down the industry that you're in, the products that you sell. Then if you look on the right-hand side, we have past performance. The most important thing about past performance when it comes to contracting officer is scope, right? I've won contracts for my clients before where they are like, yo, I've never done this type of contract before. And I'm all like, well, have you ever managed this amount of money before? Like, for instance, one of my clients that I signed in October last year, active duty Army, Briggs Enterprise Group, LLC. Now, Briggs is automated supply chain specialist in the Army, and he's winning an award for managing over $250 million worth of logistics. So we use that as past performance to vouch for his capability to manage a contract that he won 3 weeks after signing my company for $90,000 to ship some containers off to Hawaii. If you can manage $250 million, the contracting officer who only cares about keeping their job is going to be able to comfortably say, yeah, I'm going to jump out the window for this guy. Because if you can manage 250 mil, you can definitely manage 90,000. So if you look at the case of this company, Devil Dog Concrete, we have the largest jobs that he has done in the state of Texas, so that when the contracting officer is seen, hey, can this guy be trusted with XYZ? Yeah, he can, because he's managed this much money before doing concrete services. Makes sense. You gotta learn how to sell your skills. I hate when someone says, "Oh, I can't do nothing because man, quit crying. We gonna figure it out. If you really want to do it, we'll figure it out." And at the end of the day, remember, these people have a metaphorical gun to their head. Their hands are tied. They have to spend money with you. So it's as easy sometimes as picking up a phone and saying, "Hey, I want to submit for this contract, but I haven't done blah blah blah. This is what I'm thinking. Should I still submit?" If that contracting office tells you, "Yeah, go ahead and submit," then submit. Don't shoot yourself in the foot because you got low confidence. Don't do that. Get this money. All right. So we put his past performance. Then we got his profile picture. Then we got his contact information. Again, this is a state capability statement because his Texas vendor ID is on there. We also have his federal UEI, which all states ask for. All states are going to ask for your UEI. But if this was a federal capability statement, we just replace his Texas Vet Hub with his cage code. And then again, depending on, federal, it's always going to be NAICS and PSC. So yeah, that is the wrap up, everybody. This has been another episode of Biz Dev Guru for the company Artius, Artius, which is a Latin word for artful, skilled, and complete. And I want to encourage you guys to reach out to me, Theophilus Tor, for more contracting advice and services. My clients win, and my clients are happy. And it's the perfect time for y'all to start a business and to contract with the United States government. And I promise, sign on my company, you're going to be happy like this guy. Let the video roll. Hey. All right, guys. You guys take care. Like, subscribe, share this video. I can be reached at ARTIUS on all my socials. And then you guys can also drop me an email, t.tor@yesrts.com. All right. Oh, by the way, before I sign off, any other thing you guys want to know about contracting, I'm taking suggestions for videos. So hop on my line, hop on my page and say, hey, we want to know this about contract. We want to know that. And I'll shoot a video. All right, y'all. Take care. Wow. In the